Hello, good morning. Mangwana Nyakanaga livuye njani. Welcome to Inside Out, your weekly ZBC News program where we look at all the trending topics. And today is no exception. We're looking at the issue of intellectual property rights, particularly copyrights. And I know if you're Zimbabwean, you're in Zimbabwe, you know that this is one issue that has been really quite topical. How it started, we had Just Signal, whom we all know as a Zim dancehall artist, having one of his videos being taken down on from YouTube rather, because of a copyright claim. And from that moment, we saw a number of artists also having their videos being pulled down from YouTube. And this ignited debate. People really wanted to understand what was going on. What is a copyright? It looks like we do not have the knowledge. So today on Inside Out, we're looking at this issue of intellectual property rights, finding out what they are and how they affect us as artists. And helping us with that conversation, we have Polisile Ncube Chimini, who is the CEO of the Zimbabwe Music Rights Association, as well as Zimbabwe legendary gospel music artist Baba Charamba. Welcome to the program. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Good morning.
Makadi kuri sei kwa mavari sei mabasa.
Mabasa akanakisa.
Zvese zviri kufamba zvakanaka.
Zvese zviri kufamba.
Aiwa. To start the conversation, we're talking about intellectual property rights, particularly the copyrights. We want to understand, for the benefit of Zimbabweans and the layman at home, kanachiti copyright. What is it that we mean, Polisile?
Copyright is a legal right which is granted to the artist through the Copyright and Neighboring Rights Act of Zimbabwe. And this rights gives exclusive rights to the artist to do what they want to do with their work, and also to give authority to other people who want to do anything they want with the work.
So how does it work? Do I register? Is it given to me? How does the legal framework surrounding it work?
The Copyright Act does not provide for the registration of copyright, but copyright is instant. The moment you bring your work into some material form, you have copyright. What that means is, if you are a if you are a songwriter, the moment you write your song or your lyrics, you put a date on it and your name, you already have copyright to that song. And the written lyrics and your name and the date are proof that you are the owner. So how it works is, if you compose a song and you write it down, and then you go sing it in the shower, and then your next door neighbor hears you singing that song and they rush to the studio to record, it will be difficult for you to prove that you are the original writer of the song. Suppose you didn't put a date on your lyrics, suppose you didn't put your name, and then this person records and they are now holding, say, a disc, or they've even put it online. It will be very difficult for the one who wrote it to prove that they were the first person to create the work. So the moment you create it, the moment you put it into material form, you have to put some identification on it. There are several ways of protecting it from other people using it without your authority. Like if you've written lyrics, you can post them to yourself using registered mail through the post office. When the envelope comes to you, you don't open it. You are going to use it as evidence should the case go to court. You can give it to your bank manager to keep for you. You can give it to your lawyer. You can give it to the Zimbabwe Music Rights Association. We have a form where you fill in which shows that you are the originator of the work. Then if someone should misuse it in future, then you have that as proof that you are the original creator.
Thank you for the clarification. Baba Charamba, now coming to you, we're talking about copyrights today, and we would agree that what really got us to speaking about this as Zimbabweans, it's not like we were not really talking about it before, but what really brought it onto the fore is the issue, Just Signal and his Sweetie video being taken down from YouTube. Please tell us how that came to be. I know it's not the center for conversation to be, but just putting it into perspective.
Yeah, there was a question of it was a moral issue. It was it also had to do with the ethics of the industry itself.
All
and the law in general. What we did, because there was a question that was asked by the populace to say, why did we act after 6 years?
After 6 years, yes.
Initially what happened is we got a proposal from the young artists manager when they had recorded a version of our song, which is called Kana Vanhu Vangu, knowledge, which is now public. But we declined the proposal. Why? Because we didn't go along with the lyrics that were placed in the song that substituted the original. The song is considered gospel, but the lyrical content then changed to something that was suggestive. We considered profane. But the song was released anyway.
Okay.
But after 5 years, in 2023 September, we noticed that it was a trend because he had another take. So for us to, as seasoned artists, it's also incumbent on us to educate the youngsters. And you can't educate if you are not able to stop a growing trend. That's why we had to order a pull down. But zvinhu zvacho hazvisi kuitika nemafungiro anofungira vanhu vazhinji, because some of these platforms they are configured in a way that they can deal with an infringing upload. It can be a song, it can be a poem, whatever artwork that may be infringing on another uploader's content. These platforms like YouTube can act outside the knowledge of the owner of the platform.
So meaning imimi semuridzi where the original song munogona nge musuri kutozvizivawo kuti ndo zvaitika.
In general there can be settings aripo. But software pachadzo dzinokwanisa kudhila ndiri muno mustudio kutaura kwandiri kuita nemi somebody who may be violating right yangu on some platform, inokwanisa kuripota uye inokwanisa kutotora some action yekutosuspenda kushanda kuri kuita chinhu chamusician iyeye kana chauploader iyeye, zvisingareve kuti you have to be doing it physically nguva yese. But pakesi yaJaSignal, yes, there was some intent in terms of pulling it down.
Okay.
And we did it not because of economical reasons or financial reasons, because even from the outset we hadn't demanded any financial gains out of it, and they are the managers of the royalties, the performance. We haven't received anything and we demanded nothing, but we had to stop this trend because the Charambas had fallen victim kubva kuvana vedu vechidiki. While at least we are there to inspire them musically, there's been a growing trend yekuti vana vari kutora music dzedu dzechurch vachidziisa lyrics bedroom. And allow me to say ahangori JaSignal.
Okay.
Panga patoita vana vakawanda, mumwe akatoimba kuti buruka something achisanganisa nezvekubhawa, mumwe akaimba nezvemachera chete, vakecha madzimai avakakecha then vakasatenderana zvakanaka mangwana acho pakazongoonekwa machira chete vanatengai mafuta ava and pakanzi inini handidi nacho chamba changu kureva mbanje ini taiti handidi naye Jesu. I think sometimes we become too good for the generation.
You become too good.
But we have to be parents.
So in other words, you're saying for you, this was sort of a platform yekudzidzisa
nokutsiura
kuti trend yamakuita iyi haina kunaka, and it's also maybe not good for your brand as the Charambas and what you stand for.
Zvakanyanya uye kuti we cannot look and just stand and look vana vachiita because there is an element of blasphemy. Blasphemy zvinoreva chinhu chataita chinomura nokutuka Mwari, whether people agree with me or not. Let me give you an example. Zvamunoona nyika yatigere ndakaedza kuidya ikaramba kupera. This is Charles Charamba giving a testimony. It's different from the words that I sing yokuti kana vanhu vangu vanodanwa nezita rangu. Those words are not Charles Charamba's words. That's God speaking. And I'm quoting God verbatim. So kuti tichisekera vana manje vachishandura mazwi iwayo ari kubva mumuromo maMwari vachimaita erudo nemudzimai, tinenge tisinawo kuita vafundisi vakanaka. Though mumwe angafungidzira kuti tatorasa chifundisi, isusu tatomisikidza chifundisi nokudzidzisa zvakanaka. Saka is that profaning of the original word and the growing trend yekutora tisina kukumbira tisina kutenderwa. Then being seasoned artists as well, we've got a responsibility again to coach the generation kuitira kuti tisava nemalawsuits, because this thing has taught us kuti tiregere kuita indulge, and you are never going to see a Zimbabwean artist being sued internationally, because munomu tikatadzirana tinoripana nekambudzi whether kafoni kana kuti kambudzi kana kuti mhe. But tikatadzira vari kunze vanhu tinotovapinza pabudget chaiyo yakasimba yekuvadzosera hundreds of thousands of US dollars. So we are hoping that this becomes a turning point, a watershed moment whereby our young generation is going to exercise restraint when it comes to adaptations of other people's works.
All right, so having said that, matsanangura, zvakaitika zvazvinoreva nepatasvika nhasi zvinofamba sei polisi le inini semuimbi or as an artist ndiri kunzwa kuti song ya Baba Charamba o song ya Maisuluma o yani zvayo ndiri kuda kuishandisawo pakati. How do I go about it kuti ndisazobatwe nemutemo?
Okay, like I said earlier, the Copyright Act gives exclusive rights to the creator of an artistic work as their intellectual property. So if someone else wants to adapt or use it or even synchronize into a film, whatever action you want to do, you have to seek authority from the original composer of the work. If they want you to use it, they can then agree with you whether they want you to pay or they are going to give you for free. The issue of moral rights that Pastor Charamba talked about also kicks in, is also provided for in the Copyright Act. Moral rights are paternity rights. They are the rights to say, yes, I'm the composer of the song, or to even ask not to be known that you are the composer of the song. They are the rights that give you the right to say yes or no to any action that has to be taken with the song.
Okay.
Yes. Like Pastor Charamba is saying, he's a gospel artist. And if someone else wants to use the song for something which is not gospel, he's got the right to say no. I don't want my song to be used like that. And if he has said no, you don't have a right to go ahead and do what you want with the song if the original composer says no. This is so because copyright resides with the original composer for as long as they live and for 50 years after their death.
Okay.
So for as long as the original composer of a work is alive, you cannot do anything you want with the song without asking for their authority. Yes.
All right. Now, having said that, Baba Charamba, Muri Panapa, maybe speaking on behalf of artists, would we say ma artists kunzoko understand this concept that we're talking about, nyaya yema copyrights? Kana kuti maybe vamwe vedu kungoimba tongosiya zvakadaro ndatoburisa and then handichachoki kumashure kutatarisa kuti kumbofamba sei nekunzwisisa the laws that surround what we're doing.
There is a big challenge. There is quite some ignorance among artists because the main inspiration behind holding the microphone pakuimba pepe is fame.
Okay.
Vazhinji won't go beyond the appearance on the stage or the performance in the studio. We don't seek knowledge that enhances our how we operate as an industry. Hence we advocate for workshops. Vaimbi vazhinji vanonyara because pambiri inenge ina muimbi achifamba achinzi uyo mustreet anonyara kugara pabench reworkshop kana rechikoro kuti adzidze zvine chekuita nemusic industry. Hazvina kumbosiyana nemunhu anofarira kurima stereki but asingadi kudzidziswa kufiritwa kwecotton. Ndo paya pamunozoona kuti munhu anoshandisa mushonga wesora pafodya yake nokuti panenge pasina kuwanikwa ruzivo runokodzera. And further, this ignorance is shared between the creative industry itself and the end user. Pese panotori nekusaziva kwakanyanya. But the unfortunate thing is that all this ignorance is not accommodated by the law, because the law stipulates that copyright is what is a part of the national blueprint yedu ye constitution ye mtemo wedu. It is as strong as what the law also does mu zvinhu zvakafanana ne cattle rustling, rap, GBV nezvakadaro. Saka it's our responsibility as a nation to teach one another, especially that we have become a part of the global society. Because kutadzirana kwedu kwemuno ndaramba ndichitaura kuti tinogadzirisana. But now internet inoita kuti ungokwanisa kungochochonora chinhu chekuGermany. So there is need for us to school ourselves. And hatifanire kuisa my emotions pakusaziva.
My emotions pakusaziva. I like that you mentioned that, and that you also remind us, because you know what, this is part of the law. Kana tichitarisa zvona GBV, rape, murder, cattle rustling, tichizvipa the gravity yatinofunga kuti ndo zvazvinokodzera. Nei tichizorerutsa kana tauya kumabasa ema artists. I guess that is food for thought, you know. The law is the law. It just applies with whatever it is that you're doing, when you're in the arts or in the contemporary world, wherever you are, mutemo, and unongobata zvakadaro.
And to interrupt you, paya patinomhanya mutaundi tichiti abafoni mbava. phone here is a piece of property, but it's physical.
It's physical.
Our populace needs to be schooled to know kuti a song or a poem is also a product. As kuti it's abstract, you cannot touch it. It is immaterial in terms of handling it physically, but it's a piece of property. Zvakangofanana when you own a house, ukatenga stand yako, they give you a title deed. But when you write your song, there is a copyright that you get to say this belongs to you. Sezvangotaurwa na Mrs. Chimini.
So, and also chimwe chino chandafarira chamataura is the issue of ignorance, not only on the part of the artist, but me as the end user. And just as a matter of reference, when we started these whole things, there were a lot of insults or words that were thrown around. Baba Charamba ngavasadaro, inga ivo vari kuimba Bible wani, ndiana kambo varambidza, vari kungotora mavhesi vachimba. We also need clarity when it comes to that, because ndo pari kupinda ignorance dziya dzatiri kutaura nezvazvo. Imimi maona vhesi yenyu, or maybe nini ndaona hymn yangu yeku-Anglican kwandinopinda ndaimba. Pane here munhu anouya achinditi waimbirei Bible kana kuti wazoimbirei chii hymn renyu reku-Anglican?
No, tese tinotenderwa kuimba kana tikatoita 10,000 taimba pana Genesis 1 tese. But unozoona kuti imwe nguva chimbo chazonyorwa nemumwe pana Genesis 1 mumwe chete iyeyo, they would have used a different set of riffs or a different melody. Ndinopa muenzaniso wekudai, so chinoita kuti composer azogumisire apiwa right yokuti bvumidza kana rambidza vanhu from copying your song, ndechekuti they would have worked so hard to place those words dziri kubva muBible dziya idzi on a certain railway ine macaves nemabends nemudzikiswa inonzi melody. Iyoyo ndiyo inenge iri song yacho, though mawedzi pane pamwe paanozopindawo zvawo, but chikuru is kuti word iri raplaced zvakadii. Ndopa a living example yokuti tiri pano paZBC tikapedza programu inoi, imimi neni tinopinda mutau. There is no exclusivity yokupinda mutau. Tese pana 4th ndepedu tese. But imimi mukabuda munomu mukaenda nekuna Harare Drive, ndobva maenda mukuwadzana, mobva maenda ku Warren Park, vamatama vamapinda muWaterfalls, mobva mawane pambare. Inini ndikakuteverai directly pamatsika muchitsikawo, hatichisiri kuita chinhu chiri common, ndaakukuteverai. It becomes a legal matter because you can now report me. It becomes an issue. Ine handichisina defense yokuti titi muHarare medu tese. Ndiri kukuteverai because ndabva ndanotsika exactly mamatsika. Saka maybe to conclude on that one, tinokwanisa kuimba tese, and patiri kutaura nezvemavhesi apa, ende isusu hatisi kutorambidza vanhu mumachechi kuimba masongs edu. It's the commercial aspect that can be associated with reproducing our song, which we are not interested in. And if anyone wants to do that, not just to the Charambas, for any artist's work, seek consent. Consent. Yeah.
All right. I need you to school me on something. We'll come back to something that is said, but pane zvandangofunga pana nchitaura nyaya yemahymns and what you explained copyrights to be. We find that in our mainline churches where we use hymn books, right? There is a song and then inangwa ndisimu music zvekudaro, but wakaona hymn pane tuma numbers tunenge turi pamusoro pehymn. Ndikaona tuma number itoto twakafanana neimwe hymn, ndozati tune dzacho dzakaita sei, tune dzesong iyi dzakafanana. Ini ndobva ndatora song iyaya, isong yemuhymn book re-Anglican, anditi ndanoimba with that same tune, your same melody, everything. Can the Anglican Church or the Roman Catholic Church or whichever church church wake up and decide, you know what, we want to claim because that is our work?
Okay, what happens with the hymn books is that most of the songs in the hymn books have fallen out of copyright. In the same hymns, you can see where there is a name of the composer, when they were born and probably when they died. So if it's been more than 50 years after that person died, it means the song is now in public domain. If the song falls into public domain, anyone can do anything they want with it, but they should not claim 100% copyright. It depends on what the person has done. If it's significant that he says, no, in this line, I added these notes and I added these lyrics and I need 20% of the song to be my copyright, it's allowed. But you can't claim 100% that it's now my song because it's in public domain and I've re-recorded it 100%, dot for dot. You can't. But those ones which are still in copyright, there are some in the hymn books that are still in copyright. Those ones you have to ask for authority. In the event that the original creator donated the song to the church, then the church has the right to claim copyright over the song. They have the right to stop anyone who wants to record the song. They have the right to give authority to whoever wants to use it. That is if the copyright is held by the church.
Wherein comes the issue of ignorance that the pastor was talking about. A lot of these things tinoita tisiri kutoziva kana kutofunga nezvazvo ngora this doesn't matter, isong yandangwana muhimbo ndinogona kuimba kungoimba, you know, and no one will really come for me. And also tiri panyaya iyoyo ye ignorance, as ZIMURA, what are you doing, you know, with artists and the general public? Are you working with them to educate the artists on the importance of intellectual property rights? Isusu wose vanhu kuti tisazokande those ignorant assertions dzatanga takukanda panyaya dzakaitika mumazuva apfuuraya. Muri kuita sei imimi sevanhu maybe vatingati mune donzvo racho iroro munyika muno?
Yeah, we've been running copyright workshops. We are still running those copyright workshops. During those workshops, we invite artists, whether they are our members or not. We invite members of the public. The police will be there. The public prosecutors will be there. Broadcasters will be there. The business community.
The general public? Yes.
And what we do is we give intellectual property lectures, the difference in intellectual property items, like the artistic works, whether it's music, books, sculptures, whatever, you name it. And then the other stakeholders, we also ask them to tell the artists or the members of the public what they expect from the artists. Like the broadcasters would say, for us to play your song, we expect it to come in this form and it should include A, B, C, and D. At the same time, the public prosecutors are saying how they prosecute copyright infringement cases, as well as the police also say what they look for. If you get to them and say, my copyright has been infringed, they will look at their checklist. Is it meeting everything that you are supposed to meet to claim that your song has been infringed? But the challenge that we see with these workshops, like Pastor Charamba said, it's very difficult for some artists who think they've made it to attend these workshops. So they remain in ignorance. And the bad part of it is that they do not know that they do not know.
They do not know that they do not know.
Yes.
Interesting that you mentioned that. And I also want to find out, does it go as far as prosecution when we're talking about copyright claims? Tine patinozo shika ere kuti tasvisana kumatare. Yvonne wasungwa.
Yes, quite a lot. And for us as a collecting society, most of the times we were in court with copyright infringers, like usually the business community, the broadcasters. For us, if you are a broadcaster, you are broadcasting music and you don't have a copyright license, you are as good as a pirate. In fact, you are a pirate. Because you'll be stealing from the artists. The artists need to be paid at the end of the day. And if you play their music and you do not pay, then you have to be prosecuted. Same with the business community. If you have a shop, a bank, a restaurant, a nightclub, whatever, you name it, and you play music, you should pay for copyright, because music is not for free.
Music is not for free.
Yeah, but the majority of people out there thinking music is for free. Someone will actually go to an extent of saying, but I bought the disc, it's mine. The disc is yours, the one that you are touching. But music is intellectual property. It's intangible property that you cannot touch. But it's actually more, as far as I'm concerned, as a copyright administrator, intellectual property is more valuable than tangible property.
So how then are we dealing with those people whom we see on the streets that you think it's a disc or a loudspeaker and music ya Baba Charamba pano tinobe nama disc tinoita say whose responsibility is it? Is it up to me as the artist to come to you and report, or as ZIMURA or any relevant stakeholder to just take it upon themselves? Because you're on the streets and this is what you're doing and it is not above the law, so we're going to deal with you.
It's up to anyone. It starts with the artist, it goes to the collecting society, it goes to the police, it goes to the members of the public. But because most of us are ignorant, you find that half the times no one takes action if the artist does not take action. We used to have situations when discs were still popular, where you would find actually a policeman in police uniform buying a pirated disc when they are supposed to be arresting the pirate. So most of it borders on ignorance, and our nation is not yet copyright knowledgeable to know what exactly is supposed to be done with the creative works.
All right. It's unfortunate that we've run out of time. Baba Charamba, as we conclude, your last words to the people of Zimbabwe, musicians, artists in general, and the generality of Zimbabweans regarding what we have been talking about today.
Regantaure muchishona ndichiti tese pamunoona tichigraduate paya tichipfeka makepi, vamwe vachita madoctorate, vamwe vachita mamasters, tikada kuti tidzokere musi watakatanga grade 1 kana ECD, vamwe takaita zvokudhonzwa tichichema, zvoreva kuti imwe nguva process yokudzidza tinogona kusaifarira pakutanga, but tichazonyatsoziva. Saka parizvino izvi tichiri kumbotukana, we are being so abrasive and abusive sometimes in our criticism of one another pane zvakadai, but tichazosvika patinodzidza because this is law. And ndaramba ndichingoti isu sevaimbiwo vakati svikeiwo zuro zviri nani, hatingatenderi nyika yedu kuti tizogumisira taburitsa mari dzokusuwiwa, nokuti vanotisuwa vari kuAmerica kana kuNigeria havazotauri zve-community service ikoko, and havazoshandisi mutemo wekwedu chete, vanogona kushandisa mitemo iri international. Saka dzimba dzinotengeswa dzemadzibaba edu tichibhadhara mhaka dzatinenge taita. Saka kana takanzi naMwari timbenge takatungamirirawo kumberi, we are going to see to it that vana vedu, vaning'ina vedu nehama dzedu muno muZimbabwe hatityori mutemo iwoyo sezvo taane global exposure.
Aiwaregai ndikutendei nekuva nesu pa Inside Out. Thank you very much for having joined us. Siyabonga kakhulu. We hope that we will be able to continue with these very important conversations on various fora so that people get to understand what it is that we mean when we're talking international intellectual property rights. We're talking patents, trademarks, copyrights, you know, how important those are when it comes to any kind of work that does not belong to you. So we're saying respect other people's work, ask for permission, know the terrain that you're getting into and the laws that protect that particular area. Until we meet again, hopefully next week, pleasant viewing.